Hi, this is Dan Timmer at Security Coverage. Thanks for joining our webinar today. We're going to get started here in just a couple minutes, so please hold on. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Dan Timmer at Security Coverage. We're going to give people just one more minute to join us, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Thanks for joining us here today. This is Dan Timmer from Security Coverage. We're going to go ahead and get started. I think it's fitting we're with you on Valentine's Day because today we're here to talk about relationships. Let's face it, we've all been in relationships where we feel stuck. They're not treating you in the way that you want to be treated. You have differing opinions on where you are and where you're headed. Everyone around you keeps saying you need to end it. It's just not working out, but you're unsure of whether you should break it off or stay the course. But if you came here today looking for personal relationship advice, sorry to say that's a different webinar. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to 7 Signs It's Time to Break Up with Your Help Desk Provider. Before we begin handing out relationship advice, I'd like to cover a few quick housekeeping items. Our webinar today should run 30 to 45 minutes. Your phones have been muted, but you can ask questions via the GoToWebinar question bar. Finally, keep your eyes peeled. We'll be asking 2 poll questions during the webinar. So let's go ahead and get started. As I mentioned before, we're here today to talk about breakups. If you were looking for signs that you should end things with your significant other, you probably got us confused with another webinar or BuzzFeed. Instead, today we want to talk about a different kind of breakup, the breakup between you and your outsourced help desk provider. Like a romantic relationship on the rocks, an impending help desk breakup has signs we all see but sometimes ignore. As we all know, the path towards breakup is never an easy one. But once you're out of a bad relationship and onto something better, we always seem to look back and say, I wish I would have made this change sooner. Leading today's therapy session, webinar, is Security Coverage's Senior VP of Operations, Rich King. Rich has 20+ years of experience running call centers for a variety of organizations, but I'll let him provide you with some of his background before he gets started. So in the spirit of Valentine's Day and in the hopes that you'll find help desk true love, here is our help desk relationship expert, Rich King, and his 7 signs it's time to break up with your help desk provider. Take it away, Rich.
Thank you, Dan. Good afternoon to everyone. Thanks for joining us today, and happy Valentine's Day to you. As you can see, our marketing department had some fun with my picture. My team has had a lot of fun with this graphic throughout the week, throughout the office. Again, welcome to today's therapy session, webinar. Our objective today is to share thoughts and insights, as well as provide relationship advice as it pertains to your help desk operations. A little bit about myself. Collectively, I've been with Security Coverage now for 7 years. This is my second go-around with the company. I was originally with Security Coverage from 2007 to 2013, where I originally started our help desk operations. I recently returned to the company this past May. During my 5-year hiatus with Security Coverage, I worked at Transamerica, the large insurance and financial company. There I helped them put a customer experience program in place. My work there involved introducing Net Promoter Score and customer journey mapping as a means to help a B2B2C company get better in tune with the end customer experience. I had a great run, did some neat stuff, and helped drive some great changes. Then the door opened and an opportunity presented itself for me to come back to Security Coverage. So here I am. It feels great to be back, and I do love what I do. I'm no stranger to the telecom ISP space. In addition to my time here at Security Coverage, I did a previous 10-year stint at a company called McLeod USA, who back in the days was considered a super regional CLAC. Throughout my years, I spent time living in Denver, Colorado, Salt Lake City, Utah, Tulsa, Oklahoma, running customer support centers in those areas. Throughout the years, I've been on both sides of the relationship we're going to discuss today. I myself have sourced support out to outside partners, and today, obviously, I lead a team that provides those services today. So in the spirit of Valentine's Day and in the hopes that you all find help desk true love, let's explore the 7 signs it's time to break up with your help desk partner. So sign number 1, the relationship has lost its spark. Do you long for an alternative? Are you open to outreach from help desk salespeople? Do you find yourself at trade shows creeping by other people's booths? Are you curious about who your peers are using? Now, not to be confused with perfectionism, does it seem like your existing help desk relationship leaves you longing for something more? Is curiosity getting the best of you? Obviously, just by being on this webinar is an indication, but basically it boils down to, are you committed and content with your current relationship? Now, Relationship Rich says that a wandering eye is one of the first signs that you aren't happy with your relationship. So pinpoint those areas of the relationship you're unhappy with. Have you tried working with your vendor to fix the problem? If all else fails, take some time to develop a list of characteristics of your ideal help desk partner. Just as with our relationships with our significant others, communication is key. What is your outsourced partner doing that you wish they would stop doing? And what aren't they doing that you wish they would start doing? Have you talked to them about that? Now on to sign number 2. You don't feel that you get what you pay for. Essentially, does the relationship seem to benefit the vendor more than it benefits you? Does the service delivered seem different than what you were originally sold? Does it feel like you are basically in a one-sided relationship where you feel as though you are the one always giving, especially at invoice time? It's all about value and whether your current provider is a good fit for your organization. In this case, Relationship Rich says, hey, healthy relationships are two-sided. Each party needs to feel like they benefit. If it feels like you're getting the short end of the stick, the relationship may not be a good fit. What help desk features do you find most valuable? Speaking of two-sided, it's time to do some give and take here on our webinar today. We'd like to take a brief moment to engage you with a quick poll question. Dan, take it away.
Okay, so today's poll question, we're trying to make it fun for you here and relating it to if you had to sum up your current help desk relationship as a Facebook relationship status, what would it be? So we're going to push this poll question out to you here. And the options are 1, married, we found our one and only outsourced help desk provider and we're in it for the long haul. Or 2, single, we have an in-house help desk and don't have any interest in looking for partners. Or 3, in an open relationship, we're in a relationship with an outsourced help desk partner or currently offering help desk in-house, but we think there's got to be a better option out there. Or 4, it's complicated. We use a combination of in-house and outsourcing, or maybe we're in transition. Regardless, it's just complicated. We'll give you a few seconds here to select your Facebook relationship status. Okay, it looks like the top one that we're seeing right now is we're in an open relationship. So it's unfortunate to see that such a large number of you are unhappy with your existing relationship, but rest assured you're in the right place. We're glad you're here. So looks like final count, we got a mix of top 2, open relationship, and married, followed closely by it's complicated. We get it. All right, back over to you, Rich.
All right, thanks, Dan. Thanks all of you too for taking the time to humor us with this results. Again, good mix of some established relationships with some complicated ones. It's funny how those parallel sometimes with real life. Anyway, let's get back to the 7 signs. We're off to number 3 here. So it's shifted from a partner to more of a vendor relationship. So is the honeymoon over? Are you finding it's harder to get the level of attention you received when you first became their customer? Do you feel like you're holding a bag of empty promises a sales rep made and now they are nowhere to be found? Is your outsourced provider getting too comfortable with the relationship and doesn't feel the need to impress you anymore? You know, no one is looking to be in a committed relationship, wants to be taken for granted or hear the words, let's just be friends. In this case, Relationship Rich says, moving from partner to vendor status just doesn't feel good. Your help desk partner should be an extension of your own staff, a true partner. If your help desk provider has moved from a partner to a vendor, your customers will be able to feel the difference. Onward to sign number 4 now. Your employees have issues with the relationship. Do employees frequently complain to you about the help desk vendor? Are they pushing you to look at alternatives? Worse yet, have the employees become complacent with the vendor? Is there no more challenge to the behavior? Is there a sense of defeat that there's nothing we can do to make this vendor improve the situation? I like to refer to this as the infamous friends and family butt into the relationship and trying to give you advice. No one likes that, but if you hear it enough times, sometimes we just need to succumb to the feedback and open our minds and face the reality that they might be right, that we are involved in an unhealthy relationship, that it might be time to consider a change. Hey, no one is perfect, but the feedback and frustrations, if they are falling on deaf ears and there's no effort to change by the provider, then again, it may be time to face the truth. Relationship Rich says, at first, you may find yourself defending the vendor to your employees, the fact that employees aren't involved in the bigger picture and they just don't see what you see. But as soon as this starts to happen, take notice. Bad help desk relationships can be detrimental to your employees' well-being. And if you don't act quickly, you may see a drop in their productivity. And even worse, if it's a strong enough issue for some employees and they don't feel you're taking appropriate action, they may start to look for other employment themselves. So now on to step number 5, sign number 5. Customers are not happy with the experience. So does your vendor fall short in efforts to remedy a bad customer experience? Does it seem like you're constantly getting customer complaints? Not much more I need to say on this one. You all know how important it is to keep your customers happy and the consequences if you don't. Your provider should be an extension of your values. Being polite and courteous to your customers is a given, but is your provider doing what they need to be doing to actually resolve customer issues, or are they just a glorified answering service? Relationship Rich says, your customers are priority number 1. In a help desk partnership, your help desk provider should be able to manage a majority of resolvable customer issues while the customer is on the phone. If poor customer experiences end up getting back to you more often than you'd like to see, your vendor isn't doing the job. Time now for another quick poll question. Dan, what would you like to know from our audience this time?
Okay, here's our final poll question for today. If you're considering other options for your help desk, what are the main reasons? And this is one where you can select multiple answers, so please select all that apply. So here are our options. 1, my employees keep telling me we need to do something else. 2, we get too many customer complaints. 3, relationship feels less like a partnership and more like a vendor relationship. 4, I don't feel like a priority to my vendor. And 5, my vendor doesn't share my vision for customer experience. I'll give you a couple more seconds here to put your answers in. Okay, so we are seeing multiple answers. It looks like the top one we're seeing is the relationship feels less like a partnership and more like a vendor relationship. So customers will notice this shift. Relationships are really two-way streets. It needs to be mutually beneficial. So thank you for taking the time to do that. And looks like we had quite a few with the other ones. So thanks again for answering our poll questions today, and we'll get the results out as well to you. Back over to you, Rich.
All right, thanks, Dan. Let's continue here. We're in the home stretch, just 2 more signs here, so hang with us. Sign number 6, attempts to address problems with a vendor fall on deaf ears. Are vendor issues constantly repeated and go unresolved? Is your vendor unresponsive and horrific at follow-up with you? Are you in a situation where your needs don't feel like a priority? As mentioned before, expecting perfection from your vendor is not realistic. No relationship is perfect. It's going to have its ups and downs. How your vendor responds and the actions they take should ultimately be how you judge their ability and the strength of the relationship. Relationship Rich says, in relationships, communication is key. If you're voicing concerns to your vendor and you aren't seeing corrective action, a divide may be forming between the two of you. Continue to stress concerns with your vendor, but be prepared to start looking at alternatives if you don't see a timely response or adequate action. Now time for our 7th and final sign. You don't have a shared vision for exceptional customer experience. Clearly communicate this vision and your expectations at the beginning of the relationship. Ask yourself, does your vendor have the ability to follow through on your vision? Avoid vendors that try and force you to adjust vision towards one of their stock offerings. Relationship Rich says, the same vision for exceptional customer experience should be shared by both parties. If it isn't, there's a possibility it never will be. The right partner will take the time to ensure they're able to deliver on your needs and cater the solution accordingly. So there you have it. Fast forward now. You spent some time reflecting and you have utilized the 7 signs to do some soul searching. After a gallon of ice cream, you've come to the reality it's time to break up. But breaking up is never easy. Half the battle is knowing when it's time to break up. The other half is actually taking the steps to end the relationship and begin the journey for a better solution. It hurts, it's tough to do, but know that you're not alone. Others have been in this very same position and share the same fears you do. What if my next help desk partner is worse than the one I left? Do I have the time and energy to actually go through this? Yes, it's tough, and yes, it will take some time and energy, but it will be worth it. The risk associated with trying to work through the current relationship could be catastrophic. You could lose customers and even employees through the process. Now let's take a minute and review what we learned today, as well as formulate a plan for next steps. Develop a list of preferred traits in your ideal help desk partner, as well as those which you want to avoid. Strive for a relationship where both parties benefit. Stay out of the vendor zone. Keep your eyes open for a shift from a partnership to that of a vendor relationship. Listen for those complaints from employees and customers. Be wary of changes in communication frequency or lack thereof. Focus on shared vision for exceptional customer service. I'm here to tell you that you do have alternatives and there is light at the end of the tunnel. Now we'd like to take a few moments and just share a little bit more about ourselves. So in the spirit of our Valentine's Day, we have our own profile here. We ask that you take a moment, check out our profile. Here's some information on our story. Please don't be quick to swipe us away. I think you'll like what you see. Often pictures and information are embellished on sites like this, but we believe in being transparent and honest. Ultimately, are we good enough for you? Well, we think we are. We're experienced. We've been doing help desk support for over 11 years now. We assisted 500,000 customers in 2018 alone through our help desk operations. Our average tech tenure is 25 months, which is pretty impressive given our growth. The fact that we are constantly onboarding new hires to keep pace with growth. We're flexible. We'll work to design a program to meet your needs that reinforces your values. We get it. We know when a customer reaches out, whether it be through a phone call, an email, or a chat, that we are supporting 2 customers, the end customer and you. The fact that we need to be and act as an extension of you. In terms of what we're into, our goal is to be transparent. With us, you're going to get daily reporting with key metrics. We record every call, whether it be through our account management team or our operations team. We'll jump on a call with you anytime to discuss our status with you. With us, you're always going to know where the relationship stands. We crave feedback and we won't get defensive when you criticize. We're not perfect. I'll be the first to admit that. We're going to make mistakes. But as long as both parties are committed to open and honest communication, we'll work through the issues just as any relationship does when they come up. We'll pull our weight and make the transition easy. Even though we won't take out the trash or empty the dishwasher, we will leverage our expertise and talent to ensure a smooth transition. There's not much we have not seen or dealt with throughout the years when it comes to technology and systems. We'll do the heavy lifting to ensure a smooth transition. So look, I've been thinking. I feel we're starting to make a connection here. We have a lot in common. We're both passionate about providing exceptional customer experience and want the best for our employees. I believe our employees will hit it off and enjoy working together. Communication is a strength of ours. We have your back, and we will be there literally for you every minute of every day, 24/7, by 365. We'd really like to be more than just friends. We'd really like to be your partner. So what do you think? Maybe we can make arrangements to meet up and learn more about each other. We invite you to get to know us better. Let's have coffee, virtually, of course, in a safe zone. Here's some information on how you can get a hold of us. We look forward to hearing from you. So, as you can tell, we had some fun with this webinar and the theme and Valentine's Day. I hope you enjoyed it. This is Rich King, Senior VP of Operations here. I personally would like to thank you for your time and consideration. Hope you found this session beneficial. At this time, I am going to turn it over to Dan for a brief Q&A session.
All right. Thanks, Rich, for sharing your relationship advice with all of us here today. Let's open it up for questions now. Remember, you can submit your questions via the GoToWebinar panel there on your right. We'll give you a few minutes to do that. Just a heads up, we will be sending out both a recording of this webinar as well as a copy of the slide deck within the next 24 hours. So you should be seeing that by at least tomorrow. Give you a few minutes here to get your questions in. Let's see, we have one come in already that says, how long does it take you to bring up a new account?
Great question. I would say from our standpoint, comfortably, it's about a 6-week process. We definitely have the ability to move faster than that. In fact, we just brought up a new client within the last 30 days, and that transition took about 4 weeks in total. So it's we can move fast. It really more or less depends on the partner and how much time they can give us. But again, we do the heavy lifting, and 6 weeks, but we can move faster. Great.
Okay, so our next question here is, do you have your own ticketing system, or would you work in ours?
Another great question. So we can do, again, we're flexible. We can do either way. We do have what we call our standard gold offering, where we have our proprietary ticketing system that we can utilize. Within that ticketing system, we have the ability to customize fields. That ticketing system can also drive email notifications for Tier 2 escalations back to the partner. The partner also, through our partner portal site, has full real-time access to the tickets and information and can run reports out of that. On the flip side, we're more than willing to actually work in your system as well as a partner. We have what we call a platinum offering, and through that platinum offering, we utilize either a secure remote desktop or VPN connection to get into your systems and go through and put the tickets into your system. So again, we have the flexibility to go either way.
Excellent. Okay, so our next question is, how is SecurityCoverage different? What makes you guys special?
Oh, good question, Dan, or from the partner that asked, or the whoever asked that. You know, I think it really boils down to a couple things. One is really we are a relationship-based company. I think you ask any of our partners that we work with today, first and foremost, we really pride ourselves on strong relationships with our partners. Again, we're not going to be perfect. We're going to stub our toe, we'll make mistakes, but a lot of what we talked about today about communication, being responsive, it's those type of things that we invest in our relationships with our partners. Again, we have good experience. We've been doing this for 11 years. I think what's unique is how our help desk evolved. You know, as a company, we got our start with our SecurityCoverage software antivirus product, and basically the help desk evolved out of partners coming to us, because back in the day when we launched that product, a lot of the partners were impressed and pleased with the type of customer service we were providing to our own product, and thus that naturally emerged into a whole other business unit. And again, here we are almost 11 years later now, with over 60 partners supported today, and again supported about 500,000 end customers last year within our help desk operations. The other thing too is employee engagement. We've been doing a lot of work recently just to really ensure, you know, at the end of the day, customer experience starts with engaged employees. And so a lot of focus on providing levelization to our tax opportunities, tuition assistance, all kinds of things that we do to make this a great place to work. Naturally, our technicians have that caring gene of wanting to help people to begin with, but obviously, you know, as a company, we need to be committed to their growth and development and making sure that we have these employees that are engaged. And just lastly, I would say what we'd like to refer to as our secret sauce is our knowledge base. A lot of different information. We take great pride in doing our best to provide first call resolution. And so what helps us do that is our knowledge base, which basically houses all vital information relative to providing support for our partners.
All right. So our next question here, go ahead and keep your questions coming. Looks like we have a couple here in queue. The next one, what kind of training does your staff receive?
Yeah, we utilize a combination. So first and foremost, we have a dedicated training and quality manager with staff, and it's a combination of classroom, side-by-side, and simulation. So we do all kinds of different things to stimulate the new hire through learning the programs, learning the systems, all of which, in terms of what we do, is designed to get them familiar with the processes, the systems, and the technology that the partner utilizes. In addition, we'll put emphasis on soft skills and quality assurance. Even once that initial training has been completed, there's still ongoing things that are happening when that technician hits the floor that our training organization, as well as the supervisors and leads on the floor, continue to invest and help that technician in terms of making sure they're grasping the concepts and ticket quality, things like that are tracking the way we need them to.
All right. Let's see. Next question here is, who's all involved in a transition or bringing down a new account?
Yeah, I would also chalk this up as probably one of those things where I would say what makes security coverage different. So typically when we sign up a new partner and there's transition, they're all coordinated through one gentleman. His name is Wes Cole. Wes reports directly to me. Wes has played a role in the implementation of every single help desk that we have in our program today. So he's got some great experience at it. He does the heavy lifting. And even after the transition, Wes is still tied to the account, still helping with any questions and hunting information down or helping track down if we could have done something better, things like that. So Wes is part of it. Josh Meredith, who is our training and QA manager, is also involved because his group obviously is working on the training curriculum, getting the knowledge-based content ready to go. So between Wes and Josh, they do all, navigate and project manage everything through for the implementation.
All right, looks like our next question here is actually a two-part question. If I was going to break it off with my current vendor, what's the first thing I should do? And then they asked, is it okay to send a breakup text?
Well, I appreciate somebody getting into the spirit of our Valentine's Day theme and having some fun here. My advice would be, if you are considering a breakup with your current vendor, first and foremost, check your contract. Sometimes we get into discussions and people are anxious to move, but don't realize they're kind of locked into some things. So check the contract first and foremost. Now, if you've already done that, then I think the next step is just making sure you've got internal support, whether it be, depending on what your role in the company is, those around you. Just make sure you're getting internal support. Once you start that process, it can be difficult to retreat or back up. So you just want to be committed to what you're doing. In terms of the text, I don't know how to touch that one. I guess the only thing I would say is, as much as we try to embrace millennial ways around here, I would suggest you go old school and pick up the phone and have a conversation rather than send a breakup text.
All right. Good advice on that last one, I think there, Rich. Here's the last question that we have in queue right now. Feel free to send some more. Rich, do you have any additional suggestions on evaluating help desk vendors?
Yeah, I would say, as you're looking at vendors, obviously experience in the space is a big thing that you want to look at. What type of products are they supporting? You know, again, we take pride here at Security Coverage. Obviously, internet is a big part of it, but we take a lot of video calls, no dial tones, things like that. But experience in the space is one. I think you want to kick the tires a little bit more on their QA practices. Are they truly recording all calls? What do they do with that? I think, too, you also want to at least ask the question and be familiar from a phone system, routing technology. What are they utilizing? How do they route calls? What type of other things can they provide? You know, with our program, we provide every single partner with a unique toll-free number that rings specifically into a call queue into our environment. So you just want to be familiar with that. And, of course, what goes hand in hand with that, what is the redundancy plan? You know, here at Security Coverage, we have a big old generator, gas generator out back that runs the facility. In the event we were to have a power failure, you know, you just want to be very in tune with what redundancy for both data and with that goes security precautions as well.
Excellent. I'd just like to add too, we do have some resources on our website. If you go to securitycoverage.com resources, and then white papers, we have some white papers, including one, let's see, top 10 things to ask when evaluating help desk support partners. So good place to start if you're looking, if you're still looking and saw that maybe you've had some of those signs today. Rich, we'd like to thank you for providing all that great advice today. And we'd like to thank all of you on the webinar for your time as well. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. Have a good rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.